one thing I can say is that I feel like people are either on one side of the spectrum. They're either on the on the side where they're just like YOLOing life and just going out and saying, I don't give a fuck, this thing isn't gonna kill me. And then there's the people who, who are on the extreme opposite where it's like I can't go outside, I can't do anything, I can't, like I have to stay inside and look at a screen all day. I can't, like almost overcompensating. And the reality is that both of them, in my opinion, and I'll state that again, my opinion, take that for what it is, are both wrong because we're allowing fear to dictate our actions, right? And it, regardless of what side of the spectrum you fall on, if you're making decisions solely based out of fear without any pause, without any logic, without any common sense, without any thought behind it, if it's just pure reaction based off of fear, I mean, that's a lot of negative energy you're putting into the world, and that allows us or enables us to make really bad decisions, and not only for our own mental health but for the people around us. I can't. I browse through social media and just see all the, I see all the hate, I see all the judgment still, and it's like, in a time like this, like, why the fuck are we doing that? I mean, why the fuck are we doing that to begin with? But at the same, but especially at a time like this where, no one knows anything. We only know what we know on a daily basis. No one's ever experienced this before. So why, like we can either sit there and try to prove each other wrong and be right and do all these things, or like we can we can just ask ourselves what it is that we can do to help the next person. Like we can just simply ask that, and allow our judgments to allow them just to be judgments and not have to, we don't have to voice them. What is it that I can do within my power to help someone have a better day? There's a lot of people that are really gonna be affected from this. As much fear as I'm in about financial, like I'm not in a bad spot, but it's just uncertain, because it's like it wouldn't last forever. And there's a lot of people who have it a lot worse off than me, and there's a lot of people who, especially in the restaurant industry and in the service industry and retail, and there's a lot of people that are suffering, and a lot of small business owners as well. A lot of content creators. And it's a very interesting time. So what I'm trying to do each day, there's days where I have, there's moments where and not even days, there's moments where I'm really at peace with with what's going on. I'm at peace that I know I just need to put my next right foot forward and the right outcome will come. And then there's other moments where I'm just paralyzed by fear and of the unknown and like what's gonna happen. And and I think that's natural. Like I think, like we're not hardwired to be robots. We're human beings, number one. We have emotions, number two, and we're not perfect, number three. And it's you know, if there's anything I can share with you is that really focus on what you can and can't control. And if you have a judgment about someone, really think about what you say before you say it, whether it's on social media, whether it's in person, whether it's a thought, And if it's a thought, fine, let it pass. And like we all have that cynicism in us to some degree, but it's whether we act on it or not, and it's whether we take a look and see, well, why am I having those thoughts? What is it inside me that's producing thoughts like that? And that's, I think, where we can really focus on a lot of ourselves, and we can really get to do some soul searching and see how we can continue to be social yet all be avoiding each other in person at the same time. I think this is a great opportunity to harness technology that we do have. Think about this 20 years ago. People had to self quarantine. This would be a very interesting time. If people had to do this back then. And so there would be no like FaceTime, there would be no content creation, there would be no, we'd have the news and what was on TV, and that's really about it, with no real access. And so, I mean, what a blessing it is to have everything that we do have. I'm able to sit here and record a video on my computer. and upload it to YouTube and to make an actual difference in someone's life. I can reach out to someone halfway across the world to ask them how their day was if they're having a shitty one. We can, if you do have the financial means, you can choose to submit money to a charity or an organization, or if it's a friend, buy them lunch, give them some food, for God's sakes, give them a fucking roll of toilet paper. You know what I mean? Like, it's there's a lot of things that we can utilize technology for, and I think as crazy as the world is right now, and as uncertain as the world is right now, there's a lot of government agencies and leaders in big business, as well as the government, that are really stepping up to the plate to help combat this. I mean, we can get into like whose fault it was and what people could do better, but the reality is that the people who are complaining about what's not being done are people that aren't seeing what they can do to better this thing themselves. You know? And that's what I see a lot of. It's like you want to complain, fine, but if you're just complaining and sitting there from Twitter because you have nothing better to do, that's the problem. And that's why I say, and just stop. You know? Instead of using your clout, your exposure, your platform as a place to judge and spread hate and complain, why not do what you can do to help someone else out? Reach out to somebody, produce positive content, share your fucking story. Whatever it is. Like, this is a very, very interesting time that we're facing right now. And so in times of uncertainty, our natural reaction is to go to judgment and to hate and to put people down. But it's like, let's try the opposite, man. Let's give the opposite a fair shot. And guess what? If it doesn't work, if you're not satisfied with that, you can always go back to the way you were doing things beforehand. That's actually what I told myself before I got sober, to a good friend of mine. When I was in rehab, it's like, this doesn't change here really fast, then I'm gonna walk. And lo and behold, the next day, some shit really changed. And I've never looked back since. And that same methodology I apply to a lot of things that I'm indecisive about. That I'm unsure of. That I just don't quite know. Is that if it doesn't work. Great. I can go back to doing things the way I used to do them. And it's really that simple. So if I have anything to share with you guys, I know there's a lot of people, a lot of people, including myself, who are just nervous and just don't know. What I do know is that it costs nothing to reach out to someone to make their day. To just check in and see how they're doing. If you have kids, what more could you be doing? If you have a dog, what more could you be doing with them? Is there something you could be training them on? Is there something you could be teaching them? Is there something that, or you could just be cuddling with someone more? If they're currently living in your confines. Anything, man. You know, um, just putting a tweet out saying, if you're reading this, I love you. You guys know what I'm talking about. Like, so I'm gonna be recording these most likely daily, since I do have a lot more time on my hands. And so, with that being said, man, I am going to log off and I'm gonna play some Warzone because I've been fucking loving it. Hope you have a good one. I'll see y'all tomorrow.